It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That was The Methods of Destruction. It's MOD. The song was Hate Tank. And MOD is back. I don't know if a lot of people realize that, but MOD is back. Tweaked lineup a little bit surprising, but with the tweaked lineup, we have this guy that is going to be playing the drums for him. He's no hack at all. He is well known as a major drummer in the crossover thrash world. He is the drummer from DRI, now the drummer of MOD. He is Felix Griffin. Felix, how are you, man?
Good. How you doing, man? Thank you so much. And to reiterate, it's what we're doing with the MOD thing. It's MOD Classic.
Okay.
Because Billy's going to still have. I don't know if he can use MOD. And what it was the 3 or 4 guys, they didn't want Billy and the guys. We're going to do like a reunion show for the first album, and Billy's already had MOD going for the last couple of years.
Sure. Well,
Billy decided he did not want to work with them, and the other 2 original members did, and instead of like just calling it MOD and having this big conflict like a lot of these bands do, which is not cool. Right. We just kind of tweaked it a little bit, changed it to Classic, and we're going to play, like when we do shows, like play the whole first album.
Cool.
And then and we got another singer, this kid that's really good, and then write some new material and keep it more of the 80s traditional sound. And then, I mean, Billy, like on our end, there's no hard feelings or whatever. That, like a lot of stuff, there's copyright and trademark stuff, and nobody's going to sue anybody.
Okay.
And just to really put that out there, because you know how it is. A lot of these types of situations, you got bands that are spreading a lot of hate, and it's just not good for the fans when they put that shit on the street.
Right.
And that's one thing I really want to make clear is it's a different band. Unfortunately, Billy did not want to do this, but that is his decision.
Okay.
Just like with the SOD thing,
Sure.
He doesn't want to do it. So,
now,
but yeah, it's gonna be good.
Now let's be honest about Billy. Billy is always known to spout off, for lack of a better word. And I love Billy. Don't get me wrong. I am absolutely a fan of Billy. But Billy is not one of these guys that will ever just be like, hey, good for those guys. I hope they have success. That's not his method. Have Ken and Tim and you talked to Billy specifically and said, hey, we're going to do this, and we want your blessing?
Well, that ain't going to happen. It hasn't happened.
Okay.
Let's put it that way. And, I'm not going to say too much, but you just pretty much summed it up. You know what I mean? I don't play that game.
Right.
I've been through too much and I've seen too much, and I just don't get down like that. This isn't my job.
Right.
It isn't something that, I have a regular job that, pays quite well being a plumber.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but there's a reason for a lot of things. SOD, yeah, excuse me. I'd like to see SOD get back together, to be honest with you.
Sure.
That would be really cool. But we'll see what Billy says. That's his decision, and whatever he wants to do, it's all good. But as far as us,
right.
I will never talk bad or slander or anything, because it's not cool.
I hear you.
It's just, it's not a good thing.
Right. And I agree, man. Well, talk about your involvement specifically, Felix. How did you get involved with this? Did you know Tim and Ken for a long time? Or?
Yeah. I was on tour with my old band Bat with Ryan and Nick from Municipal Waste. We have a 3-piece. Actually, we're on Hell's Headbangers out of Cleveland.
Oh, cool.
And we were playing up in Brooklyn, and Tim came to the show and asked me, and I've known him, for 30 years. And he asked me would I be interested in doing an MOD reunion for the first album, a 30-year anniversary. And I said, absolutely. And at that time, I was kind of working with Billy and his MOD project here in Austin. And they wanted to go on like a huge, extensive tour, and there was no way that I could have done it. They did an interview on Decimal Magazine, and I had to decline. And then some they kept asking me to do it, and over time, and I said sure, and that's basically how it transpired, because this isn't like going to be, world tour. We can't afford it.
Right.
But it will be some shows in like New Jersey and maybe some smaller, maybe even Cleveland. We'll just see, and play some shows in Europe, and then write another album.
Right.
What our plans are.
Very cool.
But that's basically how it came, and I had to back out of that because of the finances, because they have municipal waste, so we do these little club tours, and they're like, oh, well, we got to go over to Europe for 3 weeks, and they got revenue coming in, and I was like, man, I got to go back to Austin and figure out how to pay my bills.
Right.
So I had to back out of it.
Right.
But there was no hard feelings. They just played down here, and I played a few songs with them. It's all good.
That's cool.
But that's how it came to be.
Dude, isn't it sad that in this day and age, to get out there and get your music heard in a time when it's supposed to be so easy to get your music heard, that it's basically made it almost impossible to get out there and play shows because it's just cost prohibitive.
Well, the thing about it is, it sucks. Is back in the day you could make money, as far as but all these bands have to tour. Mm-hmm. I mean, they constantly have to tour, and there isn't a lot of money. Only money that's really is playing shows and licensing, merchandise to
right.
and selling it for a few years. And then even then, a lot of the band members, they aren't band members, they're employees.
Right.
So they have no rights to that money. They get a 1099 at the end of the year, and there you go. Then they got to pay taxes on top of that. So it's like, it's really brutal, unless they're a member of that band, which
mm-hmm.
very rarely there's any members of any band. It's only maybe one or two that is getting most of the money. And that was that way even when the CDs were $21. And, they were the publishing, the metal scene, like people, one or two guys would control all the songwriting and everything, and the other people would just get mechanical royalties.
Right.
So it's been a fucking crooked business in that aspect ever since the beginning of time.
Right.
But it's different coming from the metal scene to the punk scene, because the punk scene was all about just unity. Mm-hmm. And I'm not putting down that the metal, the politics with big business is all it was. It wasn't the metal itself. It was big business politics coming in. And every band's been fucked over.
Right.
It's nothing new. And you see it, and they fight, and then they break up and get members, and it's very strange. There's a very few bands. Well, nowadays they're kind of learning to split everything equally, because it really, fucks with the recording or the writing process when there's resentment.
Yeah. No question.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. But it's sad though. As a fan, and I'm speaking only as a fan and a failed drummer. I can tell you that, the saddest part of it is to watch and not see my favorite bands be able to carry on. And, like I was telling you before we started, I huge fan of what I believe was your first record, the crossover with DRI.
It was dealing with it. It was dealing with the crossovers, dealing with it broke through, and then crossover was the big one.
Right.
But I didn't see any royalties off that either.
Yeah.
I didn't even, we had a bad manager, but drummers weren't considered musicians. We couldn't copyright any kind of bills or anything. So when royalties came in, the drummers never got it. They would get just mechanical just for the album being sold, but all the radio play, all the other shit that comes in with the money, drummers got nothing, and that was the way it was. And now that isn't there, and then there's just sales, then you have, on top of that, you have licensing where people are getting huge checks and then keeping it, and the management makes their cut, and
right.
Whoever owns the name makes their cut up front, and then whoever's working for that band that's supposedly in the band is just employees.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, it's definitely a brutal business, man. Is that the reason, because of the business and what money there is to make, is that the reason that you guys are branding this with the MOD Classic name instead of just forming a new band with a new name, and that because that would come with a lot less baggage and a lot less worrying about a certain former singer or other singer, I guess.
Well, yeah. The thing about it is, yeah, that's true, but they're entitled to that name. Okay. And anybody that starts at the trademark stuff, like with, let's say, DRI really is Kurt, Spike, Dennis, and Eric, Kurt's brother. Mm-hmm. Now, if any of those two guys wanted to fire up a DRI, they have every right to, because they were original members, just like these guys are. And, really, you don't, to start a whole new band, it's so difficult to start a brand new band. I had two bands, one called Blunt Force Trauma, and we toured and toured and toured, and, without some kind of significant history, and I really didn't want to go Felix Griffin, DRI, blah, blah, blah. We put a little bit of information when we went to Europe, and it did help, but I didn't want to be the center of them getting that draw, but that's basically what you got to do to get people to come and watch you, and I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to do it raw with them. And we played to many places where there's 10 people. I mean, and that band, Blunt Force Trauma, I played for, that was a good band. I mean, it was brutal. Fortunately, we broke up because of it. Right. And our guitar player passed away a couple years ago, and then I played in other small bands, and then this. And yeah, the name, but it doesn't need to be MOD, because MOD Classic, it's not right to try and have a big war over a name. So, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of flack. I know it, but as far as the fans go, I don't play that shit at all. I'm not going to talk bad about anybody. There's stuff that I know that I would never, ever let any of the fans know, because it's not fair to them. They don't deserve to deal with this kind of drama. Right. So we're just going to keep it straight. And if Billy wants to go ahead and do whatever he does, that's fine. Sure. That's good. Everybody knows Billy, and he has every right to say whatever the fuck he wants. But I'm not going to. No, and what does make the most sense, at least for the fans, is that this gives the fans an opportunity to hear music that A, we loved, and B, that just isn't being played right now. USA for MOD, until your publicist hit me up and was like, hey, do you want to talk to Felix about MOD? I hadn't listened to the record in years, and now I pulled it back out. I was like, fuck yeah. I forgot how great this is, It's a good album. I mean, and these guys, that we're doing this, Tim and Kenny, man, they're awesome, and it's going to be a lot of fun, because and a lot of people, I've ran this by some booking agents in Europe a while back, just the idea, and they kind of were like real apprehensive about even fucking with us. Right. And I was like, that's fine. We'll, the way I see it, we'll play squats, we'll play clubs, we'll play houses, because the one thing about it is not about money for me. Right. I don't give a shit, because I have a job, and once you start, and I get it, there's nothing wrong with these guys making money. It's how you make your money. If you're hurting other people or fucking them over, that's not cool. It's just like any big corporation. But if you can do it, honestly, the music and the energy, it'll prove itself. No doubt. So, I'm looking forward to playing. I'm not kidding you. We'll come to your house, set up in your living room and play. It's not a big deal. It'd be fun. That would be fun, man. Well, dude, let me ask a, it might be a serious question, or it might be one that you just say, fuck that. That's not going to happen. But, the climate today, very different from when, USA for MOD came out. I'm quite sure that songs like AIDS, as an example, not politically correct in today's environment at all. No, obviously, I won't play that song. You won't play it? I will not. No, not the AIDS song. Okay. The only reason why is because I've had friends' parents die of that. Right. And it's like I get it. It was punk rock back then. There's a lot of stuff I'll play, but that specific song, there's a lot of people that died from that. And, it's sort of like what happened to a band that's a friends of mine that talked some certain things on stage in Vegas, and they got their whole tour jerked out from under them for making comments about that shooting.
Right,
I mean, that was fucking stupid. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, they fucked up. They fucked up real good, not just financially, ethically. You know, so, but other stuff, yeah, I'll play. But that song, I've already told them. I was like, dude, I won't play that song because, I mean, no offense. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people like it and everything, but it's like it's too brutal. It's real brutal.
Right.
But, okay.
No, I get it. And, you know, it's just weird. We're in such a weird time now that if you guys did decide to play, you know, there's quite a few of those songs where the lyrics that were written back then, you know, will not play today, and it's such a weird time that the wrong person hearing it could literally, just like you said, could derail a tour, could derail a project from ever getting its feet off the ground.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You know, people are real sensitive, and I get it to some aspect. You know, the incident that happened in Vegas, you know, was really bad. I mean, it was real fresh, and they said it, and they've always been known to be real spontaneous and say whatever the hell, but that one really shot them in the foot. And another incident that happened with a fella at a Dimebag Darrell deal,
sure,
Seek Heiled on stage.
Right.
Now, and I know what happened. He was drinking and he made a fucking mistake. But the other people in that band down paid for that. They're
sure.
good friends of mine, and they paid big time. And now that all of them are trying to do their own thing, one's doing Corrosion, and the other guys are like, you know, doing I Hate God, and you know, they're staying busy. But the thing about it, what's weird is like when I was a kid in the punk scene, when it first came up, swastikas, nobody knew what the fuck they were. They knew it offended people.
Right.
I mean, Sid Vicious wore a fucking swastika shirt.
Right.
You know, it was a big mistake, but I feel that he paid for it, and he's not that way. He was drunk and being careless. Yeah. You know, and I mean, you think about it, out of all places to do something like that,
yeah,
is that, I mean, so in L.A. at a thing for Dimebag and all this fucking press, I don't think a lot of the guys should have slammed him publicly over it, calling him a racist and everything. I thought that was just as bad as what he did. And, you know, and hopefully they can work through it, but I know him.
Yeah.
I know he's not like that. He's a loudmouth when he's
sure.
drinking. We've all known that, but as far as like a racist, no, he's not. But he made a crucial mistake when he did that.
He did. I've known Philip forever, you know, and you know that we talked about it long and hard here on this show because, you know, obviously it was a boneheaded move, but Philip's known to do that sometimes, and you know, especially when when he's got a head full of alcohol. But anybody, and this is what drove me crazy with that. Not to get off on that tangent, but what drove me the most crazy about that was that guys that have known him for years, and you know, the Anthrax guys and whatnot, they knew him for years. They knew better, and yet they still took the politically correct approach instead of what they should have done, which is if they had a problem, they could have called him or texted him the next day and said, dude, not cool, you know, and playing it up in the media was bad.
That's what I'm talking, a lot of that, exactly, that kind of shit right there. When I was running around in the punk scene in San Francisco, and that's kind of what I'm talking about with this, the politics and this big business bullshit.
Right.
In San Francisco, it didn't matter if your friend was right or wrong. You stood by him. Right. You know, and now it seems like, oh, that might affect me by affiliating myself with him. I'm going to go and do a public, you know, interview and slam this guy that I've known. And I basically wanted to hang out with him because his band was bigger than mine and I can get on his coattails. Right. And boost. I mean, exactly. You know, a lot of this stuff, and I'll say fuck them all. You know, it's like, that kind of behavior, backstabbing, and that just goes of how it works. You know, like people will be bros in a lot of this music, and then all of a sudden money comes in, and they're like, oh, well, that's mine, and you get this little piece, and because I wrote this part. I mean, I've seen bands, you know, to where they won't even let anybody write songs because they're the ones that want all the publishing.
Right.
You know, and that's big bands and small bands too.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole scene, I'm glad I came up in the punk scene because after when DRI got really big, me and Josh still lived in the city, and we still hung out with the same friends. And you didn't come into the city acting like you were hipper than now. You get your ass kicked.
Right.
You know, like if I was to come back with a big head, like a lot of these people, you know, lost themselves, you know, with so many people telling them how great they are and they think that they're special, which they're not. My friends would have kicked my ass for sure.
No doubt, man. But at the same time, your friends wouldn't have been public about it and gone out of their way to bring you down either.
Oh no, my friends, and I don't get it. I mean, I can't believe they did that shit.
Yeah.
You know, if they would have said it publicly, yeah, he made a big mistake, and fuck, you know, but hopefully he can get his shit together, and he has.
Yeah.
You know, I've known him, and he's not drinking, and you know, and he's very apologetic, and he knew he fucked up, but shit happens. But as far as like trying to drag, somebody brought it up again on Facebook. I was like, man, shut the fuck up. It's over.
Exactly.
You know, there's no reason to try and drag on, and a lot of this MOD stuff, and I really don't think it's going to go that direction.
Sure.
I mean, Billy's smart enough. You know, if he does, that's unfortunate, you know, because nobody needs to hear a bunch of slandering.
Right.
You know, I have nothing against Billy at all, but like you said, we know how he is.
Right.
But what I like to see besides this, and I know why SOD doesn't get together, I would like to see SOD get back together and play some shows because the fans would fucking go ballistic.
Absolutely.
You know?
Well,
and I mean, anything's possible.
But the thing is with either band, with SOD or with MOD, it's whether Billy's involved or not, and this is why I think what you guys are doing is a good thing. Whether Billy's involved or he's not involved, this is music that a lot of us grew up on that's just not being played, and that's not really fair. You know, I love a ton of the new thrash bands that are out there. You know, you mentioned Municipal Waste or Havoc or, you know, Blood for Blood, blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of them that I really like. But you know what? Nothing beats these good, solid thrash crossover type bands that were never huge, but a collection of us discovered, and it was ours. And it sucks to not have that music being out there. So, you know, as a fan, I couldn't be more happy that you guys are out there with whatever lineup you got to do it, you know?
You know, I think a lot of bands, a lot of the issues with you know, when money comes involved, you know, as far as singers go, and this and nothing against singers, but, you know, they have a signature sound. So if you have another singer, you know, like Dio and Sabbath or whatever, it changes the whole dynamics. And I get that, but people are going to have to accept it because not all these people are going to want to do it. You know, I never knew, like, drummers were expendable, you know, in the 80s.
Right.
You know, me, Dave Lombardo, me, fucking a lot of guys.
Sure.
But when I really noticed how we weren't, because we have handicaps, we don't sound, because we taught ourselves. We have a little style to our own.
Mm-hmm.
When I bought a Slayer album, because Dave and I have been friends for a long, long time, and when they fucked him over the first time, the management,
right,
and I, you know, I had a beef with him, the manager or whatever, but anyway, they called me, and I told them I couldn't do it, and people were like, "Oh, you turned down Slayer?" Yeah, I fucking damn sure did, because he's my friend,
right?
And it you know, fuck that. So a friend of mine in Austin, I was like, "Hey, you want to go try out for Slayer?" He's like, "Sure." So they gave him a plane ticket and he flew to L.A. You know, but the signature sound when I bought God Hates Us All,
right?
And don't get me wrong, Paul's a badass fucking drummer.
Sure.
I mean, he's awesome.
Sure.
But it wasn't Dave, and it didn't sound the same. So I put it in my CD player and drove out of Best Buy, and I was like, what the fuck? And I literally drove down the street, did a U-turn, and drove right back to Best Buy and took it back in there. I go, hey, something's wrong with the CD. And they're like, what's wrong with it? And I was like, I just want my money back.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it was so different. But people still go see Slayer and
of
pay.
Course.
Shit, they got a good production going on. I've never seen anything like that. But, that's the thing that people need to – I think a lot of bands would get back together without the singer if they thought they'd be somewhat successful.
Sure.
Because even SOD, all due respect, I don't know who actually owns the name, but all those guys started it. If they got another singer and called it SOD, people will be like, fuck that shit, but, but still they can do it if they want, and it's ballsy, but that's what we're doing.
Right.
But we're just changing the name a little bit because it isn't the original singer.
Right. No, and it makes sense, man. So Felix, when do the shows actually kick off, and where are you slated to play so far?
Well, I think they're going to probably be later part of the summer.
Okay.
We still got to practice a bunch, and they're going to kick off probably in New Jersey. We'll do some shows in New Jersey to see how it goes, and then maybe do like some one-offs because we all have regular jobs on the weekends, and just play it out and then write a new album and see how this goes. But we're definitely going to start playing in the summer at some point. I'd like to come to Cleveland and play. That'd be cool.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's what we're going to do, and I can't wait to do it and be in front of the fans again and have fun. But, I mean, literally, the package tour deals and all that, I really don't care to do that kind of stuff. Of course, I want to make money to pay my bills while I'm gone. But if I can do weekends and stuff like that, I don't have to worry about getting money because I have a job when I come back on Monday morning.
Right.
So like I said, we'll play your house. We'll play, any kind of small club. It doesn't matter, your backyard, but then if we have an opportunity to play big shows for bigger bands and get paid, absolutely, I'll do that too.
Nice.
But I definitely want to keep the integrity of it, to where we came from instead of trying to go out and making money, because that was the root of all the problems with all these fucking bands was greed.
Right.
And egos. And that fucked up so many bands, and it has for so long, and it just isn't right.
Nice. Well, Felix, if somebody wants you to come and play their backyard, where would they go online to find you to contact you to actually book a show?
Well, we have a manager now. I guess we got to get a booking agent. This is all super fresh. I mean, they can contact me on Facebook, or Tim, or we have a MOD page, classic page.
Okay.
And then that's how but we're probably going to have some kind of booking agent to start doing this. But that's the best way to do it. To contact us and start setting this up. Whoever wants to do it,
awesome.
They literally contact MOD Classic page, or you can contact me on Facebook, and I'll send you to the manager, and we'll just go from there.
All right. Awesome, man. Well, dude, I'm excited about it, man. I definitely, if we do get you to Cleveland, I will definitely be there for that, because I'm a big fan, and I loved this stuff back in the day, and I loved DRI as well. So I'd like to meet you in person, man, and get my long lost copy of Crossover signed. Because
absolutely, I'll buy you dinner if I come through Cleveland. Definitely. Well, a friend of mine lives there. Johnny that plays drums for the Dead Boys.
Oh, cool.
In Cleveland.
Yeah, I think I know Johnny.
It's a good reason to come visit you guys.
Absolutely.
And anyway, even if I come up through that way, we'll go out and get some food or something.
Hell yeah, sounds great, man. Well, dude, why don't we play an MOD tune to wrap this one up? Why don't you go ahead and pick one, and
I don't even have the album in front of me right now. Why don't you pick one of your favorites?
All right. Well, I always I always laugh when I listen to Spandex and Normandy on USA for MOD. So why don't we go out with that one?
That'll work.
All right. Well, let's check it out right now. It is MOD. It is Spandex and Normandy right here on your Classic Metal Show.